Logan Price didn't know it yet, but the moment Malik Carter met his stare in that cafeteria, the rules at Ridgeway High started to change. The lunchroom stayed quiet for a beat, one of those silences that buzzed with unspoken tension. Malik didn't blink. He didn't curse or swing. He just looked at Logan with that calm, steady expression that said, "I see you, and I'm not afraid of you." And that made Logan furious. "What, you deaf or something?" Logan said, his voice dripping with mockery. "I said, pick it up." Malik leaned back in his chair, one eyebrow raised. His tone was even, almost polite, but his words carried a weight that only Logan felt. "You should walk away." Somewhere behind Logan, a girl gasped. Ryan and Chase exchanged confused looks, but Logan laughed, too loudly, too forced. "Oh, you've got jokes. Cute. Let me explain how Ridgeway works, Detroit. You either get with the program," he leaned in close, his breath hot with arrogance. "Or you get crushed." Malik's jaw tightened, but he didn't flinch. "We'll see." The bell rang, cutting the tension, but the message had been delivered. Malik wasn't playing their game, and Logan Price didn't take rejection well. By the next morning, the whispers had started. "Did you hear? Price is gonna make the new kid regret it." Locker doors slammed, sneakers squeaked against tile floors, and the school buzzed with cruel anticipation. It started small. Malik's locker jammed, his books scattered across the hall. His gym clothes vanished, only to reappear dumped in a bathroom sink. Anonymous posts popped up on social media, cheap shots about ghetto kids and knowing your place. Malik ignored them. He walked through the halls like nothing happened, earbuds in, expression calm. But inside, every detail was being logged, every slight committed to memory. His father's voice echoed in his head. "Don't waste your energy on noise. Focus. Observe. Wait." Friday afternoon, it escalated. Malik was heading toward the parking lot, his backpack slung over one shoulder, when a shadow fell across his path. Logan. Ryan. Chase. Blocking the sidewalk with grins sharp enough to cut glass. "Where you going, Carter?" Logan's tone was syrupy sweet. "Thought maybe you'd like to welcome yourself properly. You know, a little Ridgeway hazing." Malik didn't stop walking. "Not interested." Logan stepped in front of him. "Not asking." The first shove came from Ryan. Not hard, just enough to make Malik stumble. The second came from Chase, accompanied by a muttered slur that made Malik's stomach clench. Logan smirked, certain that victory was his. But Malik remembered his father's words, "Control your breathing. Control the outcome." So he straightened his hoodie, adjusted his backpack strap, and said in a voice barely above a whisper, "This is your one warning." Logan laughed, a short, sharp bark of disbelief. "Warning? What are you gonna do? Run to the principal?" Malik's eyes stayed locked on his. "No. I'm gonna end this. Soon." And then he walked away. That night, the Carter garage smelled like oil and old leather. Malik's father, Marcus Carter, Marine veteran, discipline etched into every line of his posture, stood across from him. "What happened?" Marcus asked, though his sharp eyes already knew. "They're trying to break me," Malik admitted. "I can't let them win. I need to be ready." His father studied him for a long moment, then nodded slowly. "Training starts tomorrow. You'll learn control, strength, and how to handle 3 punks at once without ending up in cuffs." "But Malik." "Yes, sir. You only fight when you have to. Understand? Violence isn't power. Discipline is." By the following week, Logan's crew had grown bolder, testing Malik at every turn. Spilled drinks. Fake rumors. Shoves in the hallway. And Malik? He stayed silent. Focused. Watching. Until Tuesday. It was raining, the kind of steady drizzle that left the parking lot slick and shining under the gray afternoon light. Malik was walking to his car when he heard footsteps pounding behind him. "Hey, Carter." Logan's voice sliced through the rain. He turned just in time to see Ryan's arm swing. The punch never landed. Malik caught the fist mid-air, twisting at just the right angle, the way his father had drilled into him, sending Ryan sprawling into the wet pavement. Chase froze. Logan cursed. And Malik? He just stood there, eyes calm, voice steady. "This ends now," he said. "Next time, I won't be gentle." And with that, he walked away, leaving Logan standing in the rain, stunned, and humiliated. What Malik didn't know was that humiliation burns hotter than fear. And Logan Price wasn't done. But neither was Malik Carter. Because when you're trained by a soldier, you don't just survive. You adapt. You plan. And when the final confrontation came, under the glaring lights of the homecoming game, Ridgeway High would learn that Malik Carter wasn't the one to be underestimated. Logan Price didn't sleep much the weekend after the parking lot embarrassment. Rage kept him awake. Not just because Malik had blocked the punch, but because he'd done it without breaking a sweat. Logan could handle fear. He could weaponize fear. Calm. Calm was a problem. Monday arrived gray and heavy, rain still in the gutters, and Ridgeway High thrummed with the kind of gossip that finds a pulse and multiplies. Someone swore they'd seen Malik catch Ryan's fist in midair. Someone else claimed Malik had shoved all three of them into a puddle. He hadn't. By second period, a grainy clip of the moment was already bouncing around private story chains, the frame too tight to show who started it, but clear enough to reveal Malik's stillness. Malik watched the clip once in homeroom, then dropped his phone into his backpack. He had better things to do than track rumors. Like the checklist on the yellow index card in his pocket. 1. Don't react publicly. 2. Collect evidence. 3. Prepare a plan that ends it without ending you. Every time his chest tightened, his father's voice cut through, "Control your breathing. Control the outcome." The Carter's garage smelled like coffee, rubber mats, and motor oil. A heavy bag swung lazily in the corner. Marcus Carter stood with the posture of a man who'd marched through sandstorms and come out cleaner. "First lesson," Marcus said, setting down a pair of focus mitts. "You don't win fights. You end situations." He showed Malik how to plant his feet, how to keep his hands where cameras would see them, how to move his head without looking like he wanted to throw one back. They didn't talk about fancy moves. They talked about distance, timing, and calm. "When three come at you," Marcus said, tapping the mitts together, "don't try to fight three. You manage space. Make the first one block the second." Malik nodded, sweating, listening, absorbing. The training wasn't about ego. It was about exits. About making sure the next day looked like a school day and not a court date. "Second lesson," Marcus said, tossing him a battered notebook. "Write it all. Time. Place. Witnesses. Screenshots. If the system fails you, fine. But give the system the chance to work. New allies, old patterns." By Wednesday, the vandalism had found a new home, a scrawled "Go back" etched into the back of Malik's biology notebook. He blew out a breath, flipped to a clean page, and copied the message into the log along with the time stamp. He didn't rip the page out. He didn't crumple it. He just documented it, slid the notebook back into his backpack, and headed to journalism. "Carter," said Ms. Chen, advisor to the school paper, as he walked in. "You've got an eye. You submitted 3 photo assignments and got the framing right each time. Want a press pass for homecoming? Sideline angle. A pass meant access. It meant visibility. It meant witnesses. Yes, ma'am, Malik said. After class, a girl with a sleek bob intercepted him. I'm Ava, she said. Features editor. I've been hearing stuff. If you want to go on record. Not yet, Malik said, gentle but firm. Soon. Ava's gaze flicked to the press pass. Soon as in, halftime. Soon as in when it counts, he said. To most teachers, Logan Price was a walking scholarship. Quarterback. Fundraiser darling. Smiles for booster moms. He could stare down a linebacker and throw a dart into a moving window. But with Malik, he'd thrown his best weapon, public humiliation, and watched it evaporate into the rain. So we tighten the screws, Logan said to Ryan and Chase in the locker room. No more accidents. We isolate him. Ryan still had a tender wrist beneath his tape. Coach said to let it go. I'll handle Coach, Logan snapped. You handle Carter. The plan grew legs. Anonymous accounts. Group chats where boys put on each other's bravado like borrowed Letterman jackets. Memes that skirted slurs but slammed into meaning. A photo of Malik's hoodie with the caption, Ridgeway or Runaway. 30 hearts. A row of laughing faces. Logan felt the needle slide back into control. Thursday after school, Malik spread his evidence on a back table in the library. Ava slid into the seat opposite him. You're not just collecting, she said, eyes scanning the tidy pile of printouts and screen grabs. You're building a timeline. Timelines are hard to argue with, Malik said. What's your endgame? Malik thought of the garage, the steady thump of the bag, his father's voice. Make it obvious. Make it public. Make it undeniable. Then make it stop. Ava chewed her lip. Logan's not careful. He'll overreach. I'm counting on it, Malik said. Right on cue, his phone buzzed. An anonymous number, equipment room. 3:30, we talk. Just you. A trap drawn in crayon. He stood anyway. You going alone? Ava asked. I'm going with a press pass and a clock, Malik said, tapping the laminated badge, then the face of his watch. If I'm not back by 3:45, send the timeline to Ms. Chen. And my dad. Ava exhaled. Be careful. The equipment room smelled like wet turf and detergent. Fluorescents hummed overhead. Rows of helmets and pads watched from steel racks like blunt, silent sentries. Logan, Ryan, and Chase stepped out from between the shelves. Just you, Logan said, mock disappointment in his voice. No fan club. Malik stood in the doorway, visible to the hallway camera, hands loose at his sides, the press pass bright on his chest. You asked to talk, he said. Talk. Logan looked past him toward the tiny black dome of the security camera outside. His smile tightened. Then let's talk inside. No, Malik said. We talk where the school can see. Logan's jaw flexed. He stepped closer, trying to make the space smaller. You think that badge saves you? You think standing in doorways makes you untouchable? No, Malik said. My choices do. Ryan moved first, always Ryan, shoulder line telegraphed, a shove coming disguised as a bump. Malik took a half step to the side and Ryan stumbled past him into the metal door. The clatter echoed. Chase reached for Malik's hoodie. Malik pivoted, the motion tight and economical, and Chase's fingers closed on air. Not a strike. Not a blow. Just absence. It infuriated him. Get him, Logan hissed. They surged. Malik didn't backpedal, he rotated, letting Ryan and Chase clog each other's path. It looked almost accidental, a tangle of limbs that made aggression clumsy and obvious. Boys. The voice cracked like a whistle. Coach Harlan filled the doorway, brow furrowed, eyes combing the scene, landing on Malik's press pass first, then the heap of frustration that was Ryan and Chase. "What exactly are we doing here?" Showing Carter the ropes, Logan said smoothly. "Welcoming committee." "Welcoming committee in the equipment room?" Harlan folded his arms. 3-on-1. That sound like school policy to you? Chase muttered, "We were leaving." "Great idea," Harlan said. "Leave." As they filed past, Logan brushed Malik's shoulder. "Halftime," he breathed. "We'll really welcome you then." Harlan watched them go, then looked at Malik. "You okay?" "I'm good, Coach," Malik said. Harlan's eyes flicked to the camera in the hall. "Keep it public if you can." Malik nodded. "That's the plan." Principal Keating summoned them the next morning, the quarterback and the transfer, flanked by parents and a guidance counselor who looked like he wished he were anywhere else. "We have conflicting stories," Keating said, hands steepled. "Watch the tape," Marcus Carter replied calmly. "We did," Keating said. "The angle is inconclusive." Marcus's voice never rose. "Inconclusive means you didn't like what you saw." Keating colored. "Mr. Carter, we're trying to de-escalate." "De-escalation starts with accountability," Marcus said. "Not with asking the kid wearing a camera badge to keep a low profile." Across the table, Logan's father cleared his throat. "With all due respect, this is homecoming week. We don't need a circus." Marcus turned to Malik. "You still have your plan?" "Yes, sir." Keating frowned. "What plan?" "The plan where your school is safe," Marcus said. "And where my son is not the headline." Keating shuffled papers. "We'll increase hallway monitoring." "You'll need the field, too," Marcus said softly. "Tonight will be loud. Tape, threads, and triggers." Ava worked like a newsroom with one heartbeat and two hands. She didn't publish a story, yet. She built a folder. Fake accounts cross-referenced by identical typos. Captions with telltale phrases that matched Logan's and Ryan's jokes in PE. A 30-second clip slowed down to show a slip of a foot before a shove. "Soon," she texted. "Soon," Malik replied. In the group chat Eagle Rain, Logan typed, 10 minutes before halftime. Brass gate by the student section. Ryan, you trigger the smoke. Chase, rope. We make the new guy disappear for 15, he misses the sideline pass, I humiliate him in front of the whole school. Then we send him a message after the game. Malik didn't see the chat. But he didn't need to. Aggression repeats. He knew how they thought. Make it big. Make it public. Make it unfixable. He built a counter. He printed 3 copies of the timeline and put them in 3 envelopes, Ava, Ms. Chen, Dad. He gave Officer Benton, the lone school resource officer with a steady walk and a good memory, the heads up. "Not asking for special treatment," Malik said. "Just asking you to be where the trouble will be." Benton studied him. "Tunnel or student section?" "Student section," Malik said. "By the brass gate. 10 minutes before halftime." Benton nodded once. "I'll be there." Under the stadium lights, everything sharpened. The band ricocheted brass across the night. The student section jumped as one creature, faces striped in school paint. Popcorn, cold air, adrenaline. Malik wore black, press pass lanyard tight, camera at his hip, badge clipped where eyes could see it. He moved like a ghost on rails, hugging sightlines, logging faces. Nora Kim from Yearbook gave him a thumbs up. Ms. Chen pointed at her eyes, then at him, "I'm watching." Across the field, Logan led warm-ups with weaponized charisma, high knees, snaps, grins. He was the storm and the shelter. He glanced once toward the student section, then to the brass gate. Checked his watch. Marcus stood at the top of the bleachers, hands in his pockets, mouth a hard line. He didn't call down. He didn't interrupt. He watched his son watch the field and nodded once, an invisible salute. Ridgeway went up 7-0 on a slant route that snapped like a mousetrap. The crowd howled. The homecoming court waved from the end zone, glittering and oblivious. Malik kept moving, documenting. Capturing. Waiting. On the visitor sideline, two defensive backs pointed toward the student section and laughed. The band launched into a fight song that ate the edges of conversation. 10 minutes till halftime. The brass gate was old school, ornate and heavy, installed before the district stopped spending money on ironwork. It separated the lower student section from the ramp that led under the bleachers and into the maintenance corridor. Plenty of shadows. Plenty of noise. Ryan appeared first, hat low, school jacket zipped, looking like every other senior trying to look important. Chase followed, carrying a coil of rope in a duffel bag he thought looked like sports equipment. Logan came last, helmet off, towel slung over his shoulder, every move broadcasting ownership. Malik was already there, camera out, pretend crouched near the gate like he was framing a shot of the drumline. Ava hovered 5 rows up with a phone trained on the trio. Officer Benton leaned against a railing near the ramp, chatting with a custodian like old friends. Logan's eyes found Malik. His smile didn't reach his eyes. "You lost?" he asked, leaning on the gate. "Working," Malik said, angling his camera down. "You?" "Always," Logan said. He nodded toward the ramp. "Better angles down there." Malik glanced toward the dark corridor, then back to Logan. "Pass says sideline and stands. Not tunnels." Logan's jaw ticked. He shifted the towel and the end slipped, revealing a little canister taped beneath. Smoke. Not dangerous. Just dramatic. Just enough to make chaos look like weather. "Cute party trick," Malik said softly. Ryan stiffened. Chase's mouth opened and closed. "You think you can keep playing hero?" Logan murmured. "You think this ends because you write something down?" "No," Malik said. "It ends because everyone sees what you are when you think no one's watching." "Who's watching?" Logan asked, spreading his hands, playing to the crowd that didn't know it was a crowd. "I don't see anyone." "Funny," Malik said. "I do." Ava shifted her angle. Benton stepped off the railing. Logan's smile faltered. For the first time, he didn't look sure of his footing. The clock bled down toward the break. The announcer hyped the raffle and the marching show. Nora from yearbook drifted down the steps, pretending to check her batteries. Ms. Chen left the press box and started along the track, eyes narrowed, steps precise. Logan saw pieces moving and did what he always did, forced the play. He reached through the bars, snagged Malik's lanyard, and yanked. The camera swung. The strap tightened. Malik didn't yank back. He stepped forward, taking the slack out, bringing himself close enough that when Logan pulled again, he overcommit and thumped the gate. Benton was on him before the third tug. "Hands off, Price." "Just joking," Logan said, that politician's smile snapping back. "We're just joking." "Great," Benton said. "Keep the jokes on your sideline." Ryan shifted the duffel. The zipper had slipped, the rope peeked out like a confession. Ava's lens caught it. A mess. Chen's did, too. "Bag," Benton said. "It's band gear," Ryan said. "Open it," Benton said. Ryan froze. Chase blanched. Logan stared at Malik like he was suddenly seeing him clearly, like the fog had burned off and the horizon was a line he didn't know how to cross. A whistle blew, shrill and insistent. Halftime. The band began to pour onto the field in practiced rows, tubas gleaming under the lights. The student section shifted, a living thing turning its head. Announcers talked fast, grateful to fill silence. The gate became a hinge between two worlds, spectacle on one side, accountability on the other. "Open the bag," Benton repeated. Ryan fumbled the zipper. The rope spilled onto the concrete in a soft, incriminating coil. A second canister rattled to the ground and rolled to a stop against the brass. The sound it made was small. The sound the crowd made when they saw Benton kick the canister back and radio something and was not. Logan looked at Malik, at the camera, at Ava, at Ms. Chen, at the officer, at the rope, at the long bright rectangle of the field. "You set me up," he said, voice low. "No," Malik said. "You set yourself up. I just made sure somebody was watching." Logan's lips thinned. For a tiny, revealing second, he looked like a kid who'd lost his way home. Then the mask slid back. "This isn't over." "It can be," Malik said. "Right now." Logan's laugh held no humor. "See you after the game." "See you in front of everyone," Malik said. Lights, then shadows. Benton waved another officer over. The bag went onto the track. The canisters followed. Keating jogged down the bleachers, tie flapping, face peaked. Ms. Chen stood with her phone in her palm like a gavel. Ava's recorder blinked a red dot steady as a heartbeat. Across the field, the band formed a giant R. The drumline snapped. The crowd cheered, then faltered as word began to pass like wind through wheat. Malik lifted his camera. He wasn't shaking. Marcus Carter watched from the top row, chest rising and falling slow. He didn't smile. He didn't clap. He simply looked at his son and knew the next 5 minutes would set the course of the night. Logan took a step back from the gate. Then another. He pivoted toward the tunnel, toward the locker room, toward control, if he could still find it. Malik didn't follow. He turned instead to the field, to the light, to the place where stories stop being whispers and start being records. Act 2 closed like a door eased shut, deliberate, quiet, irreversible. The rope. The canisters. The camera. The eyes. And when the band marched off and the teams took the field for the second half, Ridgeway High was no longer just a scoreboard and a song. It was a witness. The third quarter opened under a stadium sky humming with tension. The Ridgeway Eagles were up 14-7, and the student section pulsed with adrenaline. But under the noise, under the chants and marching band brass, something darker stirred, a shift that would turn the night into history. Malik Carter wasn't on the sidelines to watch the score. His camera hung against his chest, lens cap off, red record light steady. Ava stayed close, her phone raised, broadcasting quietly to a private link that only Ms. Chen, Marcus Carter, and Officer Benton could see. Logan Price paced the home sideline like a caged animal, helmet cradled under one arm, jaw locked tight. He'd lost the gate moment, lost the rope, lost the smoke canisters, lost control, but he still had the game, and in his mind, the game could fix everything. At least, that's what he told himself. Midway through the quarter, Logan took a snap, rolled left, and found his favorite receiver wide open for a 30-yard gain. The crowd exploded, the noise swelling like a wave. Logan basked in it, the grin plastered on his face masking the churn in his chest. Then he saw Malik. Standing near the 40-yard line. Camera steady. Watching. The grin faltered. For the first time in his high school reign, Logan felt small. When the drive stalled on the 20, Coach Harlan called for a timeout. Logan jogged to the sideline, but instead of regrouping, he snapped. "This is my field," he barked, throwing his helmet at the bench. "You hear me? Mine." Players froze. Fans stared. Coaches barked his name, but Logan wasn't listening. And Malik? Malik lifted his camera and kept filming. Halftime's near disaster had already started to ripple through the school. Ava's quiet live feed, recorded from the stands, was making its way from inbox to inbox. Students huddled in corners, whispering as the evidence played in grainy, undeniable clarity. The smoke canisters. Logan grabbing Malik's lanyard. Benton's steady voice. Hands off, Price. By the start of the fourth quarter, whispers had turned into murmurs. Murmurs into sharp, ugly questions. Wait, he was gonna drag him under the bleachers. That's criminal, right? Yo, isn't that our captain? And Logan, oblivious to the storm brewing, kept unraveling. With 4 minutes left and Ridgeway clinging to a 21-17 lead, Logan called his own number on a QB draw. He cut inside, lowered his shoulder, and plowed through a defender, dragging 3 more for a gritty first down. The crowd roared. The band blared. And Malik kept filming. Then it happened. Logan, riding the adrenaline, turned toward the stands, toward Malik, and screamed. You think you won? You think you're better than me? This is my house. The crowd went quiet. The sound carried across the field, sharp and ugly in the sudden silence. And then, like lightning, the feed from Ava's phone hit the big student group chat. Over 100 screens lit up at once. Every student saw it. The brass gate. The rope. The bag. The cop. Logan's face, sneering, predatory. Phones went up in the stands, a sea of glowing screens pointed at the field. Murmurs turned into a roar, not of celebration, but condemnation. After the clock hit 0 and the Eagles secured a narrow win, the usual chaos of celebration tried to take hold. The band played the fight song. Cheerleaders chanted. Students flooded the edge of the track. But the noise was hollow. The air was sharp. Malik stayed where he was, camera steady, as Logan stormed across the field, helmet dangling from one hand, rage radiating from every line of his body. You think you're a hero, huh? Logan spat as he closed the distance. Think you can ruin me with your little camera tricks? Malik didn't move. Didn't blink. No, Malik said. You ruined yourself. The crowd pressed closer, drawn like moths to the fuse. Phones recorded. Whispers hissed. My dad, Logan started, voice cracking. Won't change the video, Malik cut in. Calm. Sharp. Surgical. Won't change what everyone saw. What everyone heard. You wanted to humiliate me. You wanted to hurt me. Now the whole school knows who you are. Logan's grip on his helmet tightened. His knuckles went white. You think this is over, Logan hissed, voice shaking, but I. Stop. It wasn't Malik's voice. It was Coach Harlan. Standing between them now, his face carved from stone. This ends tonight, Harlan said, loud enough for the crowd to hear. You're done, Price. Hand in the jersey. Gasps rippled through the stands. Students froze, processing what they'd just heard. Logan stared at his coach, disbelief cracking his face. You can't. I just did, Harlan said. By Monday morning, the video had made it past Ridgeway. Local news anchors repeated the story on loop, high school quarterback under investigation after hazing plot exposed during homecoming game. The school board moved fast. Logan Price. Suspended indefinitely. Ryan and Chase, removed from all athletics, pending disciplinary hearings. Principal Keating, called an emergency assembly, offering words like healing, accountability, and change. None of it mattered much to Malik. What mattered was walking down the hall Tuesday morning and not feeling the weight of whispers like knives. What mattered was hearing Ava say, "You did it. You actually did it," without pity in her voice. What mattered was sitting in the garage that night, his father handing him a cold bottle of water and saying, "You stayed calm. You stayed smart. I'm proud of you." But victory was complicated. Some kids still muttered that Malik had ruined the season. Others accused him of playing the victim. Logan's die-hard loyalists, small but loud, threw venom online, hiding behind fake usernames. Malik documented it all, screenshot by screenshot, but he didn't let it take root. He had bigger things to focus on. Finals, college applications, and the quiet satisfaction of having done what his father always told him to do, fight smart, not loud. Weeks passed. The air at Ridgeway changed, not overnight, but steadily. Teachers stopped looking the other way. Students found their voices. Kids who had been invisible for years started to speak up. And Malik? He joined the journalism staff full-time. Covered sports. Wrote profiles that didn't glorify bullies but celebrated quiet excellence, the band kid who tutored after school, the girl who coded her way into a scholarship. People started to see him differently. Not just as the kid from Detroit. Not just as the one who took down Logan Price. But as Malik Carter, calm, steady, unflinching. One Friday evening, long after the noise had faded, Malik and Marcus sat on the porch, the autumn air sharp and clean. "You handled yourself," Marcus said, voice quiet but full of something deeper than pride. "Didn't let anger do the talking." Malik nodded. "You taught me that." Marcus looked at his son for a long moment, then said, "Discipline isn't about winning fights. It's about ending them." Malik smiled, small but sure. "Then I guess this one's over." And for the first time in months, it felt true. Winter crept into Ridgeway quietly, softening the sharp edges of the chaos that had rocked the school just weeks before. The football field sat silent now, frosted grass crunching under the shoes of morning joggers. The bleachers, once a roaring sea of voices, now seemed to exhale relief in the cold stillness. Inside the school, things felt different. Not perfect. But different. Malik walked the halls without the hum of whispered threats trailing behind him. The looks he got now were different, some nods of quiet respect, some of gratitude from kids who'd never dared to speak before. One morning, as he reached his locker, a freshman girl hesitated nearby, clutching a math textbook to her chest. She said softly. "Thanks." "For what?" Malik asked, sliding his backpack from his shoulder. "For, she said, eyes darting to the floor. "For showing them they don't get to just own people here anymore." Malik didn't have an answer for that, not really. So he just nodded. "You're welcome." It was enough. Logan Price was gone by December. Officially, he transferred to a private academy 2 towns over, one that didn't care about the scandal so long as he could throw a perfect spiral. But everyone knew the truth. Ryan and Chase stayed, suspended from athletics, relegated to quiet corners of the cafeteria. Malik passed them sometimes, eyes forward, never flinching. They never spoke. Not to him. Not to anyone, really. Power, once their weapon, had slipped from their hands like sand through a sieve. The journalism lab became Malik's second home. Under Ms. Chen's sharp but fair guidance, he learned to shape stories that mattered, profiles of teachers quietly changing lives, think pieces on the school's history, investigations into safety issues that got real results. "You've got a gift," Ms. Chen told him one afternoon, sliding a graded feature across the desk. And he glared back in bold red ink. "Not just for seeing what others don't, but for telling it in a way people can't ignore." Malik shrugged, but inside, the words settled deep, like seeds in good soil. January brought the student council's decision to adopt a new anti-harassment protocol. It wasn't perfect, but it was something. Anonymous reporting. Clear consequences. Training for staff. For the first time, kids like the freshman girl at Malik's locker felt like someone was listening. And when the principal stood in the gym during an all-school assembly and said, "No student should ever feel unsafe here," Malik didn't roll his eyes. Because this time, the words felt like they carried weight. By February, Ava had written a feature that would define the year. The year Ridgeway changed, how one student's silence spoke louder than violence. It wasn't just about Malik. It was about the shift, the courage that rippled out, the teachers who stopped looking away, the students who started speaking up. When the piece went live, the comments section filled with gratitude and hard truths. And for the first time since that first day in the cafeteria, Malik felt lighter. You realize you changed things, right? Ava said one afternoon as they proofed a layout together. Malik shook his head. I just did what I had to do. She smiled. Sometimes that's all it takes. One person willing to do what they have to. The garage had returned to its quiet rhythm, the heavy bags swinging lazily, the hum of the space heater, the faint smell of motor oil. Marcus Carter watched his son wrap his hands, the quiet pride in his eyes unspoken but present. You ever think about going out for the team? Marcus asked one night, gesturing toward the bag. Malik laughed, shaking his head. Not my thing. I'm better behind the lens. Marcus studied him for a moment, then nodded. You're good at that. Seeing what's really there. They worked in silence for a while before Marcus spoke again. You know, he said, there's a kind of strength in choosing your battles. A younger me. I'd have burned that place down. Malik looked up, smiling softly. Guess I'm just trying to be better. Marcus grinned, pride shining in his eyes. You are. By spring, Ridgeway had a new quarterback. The games were quieter. The stands less crowded. But there was something purer about it, a sense of starting over. Malik stood at the sideline, camera steady, capturing the small victories, a perfect catch, a smile between teammates, the way the light fell just right on the field as the sun dipped low. This was his field now, not to own, but to witness. In April, a thin envelope from a state journalism program arrived in the mail. Malik opened it at the kitchen table, his father watching from across the room. Congratulations, the letter read. You've been selected. Marcus leaned back, letting out a low whistle. Guess the world's about to get a taste of what Ridgeway already knows. Malik smiled, folding the letter carefully. Guess so. The final edition of the school paper that year carried Malik's first front-page editorial. It wasn't about Logan. It wasn't about revenge. It wasn't even about himself. It was about dignity. About what it meant to stand up, not just once, but every day, in small ways that no one else might see. Strength, he wrote, isn't in the swing of a fist or the volume of a voice. It's in the choice to stand steady when the world tries to push you down. It's in knowing that your worth isn't up for debate. And it's in making sure the next person doesn't have to fight as hard just to be seen. The piece ended with a quiet line that stayed with every reader. I didn't change Ridgeway. We did. Together. On the last day of school, Malik walked through the quiet halls one last time before summer. He passed the trophy case, the faded posters, the old brass gate by the bleachers. He stopped for a moment, hand brushing the cool metal, the memory of that night sharp and clear. Then he smiled. Because that night didn't own him anymore. He did. Summer brought warm nights and new possibilities. Malik spent his mornings running the track, his afternoons photographing the quiet corners of Ridgeway, and his evenings in the garage with his father, planning for the next chapter. College applications loomed. Opportunities waited. And for the first time in a long time, the future felt wide open. Because Malik Carter had learned the hardest lesson of all. That real strength wasn't about fighting every battle. It was about knowing who you were, and refusing to let anyone take that away. If this story touched you, don't just leave, be part of the family. Yellow heart, hit subscribe so you never miss the next chapter. Smash the like button if you felt the emotion, and don't forget to share this video with someone who needs this message today. Your support keeps these stories alive. Thank you for being here.